It's time for the Northwoods Cooking Show. Starring Uncle Roy and Miss Callie, the troublemaking dog.
Now we're going to do another fun recipe. This is going to be homemade peanut brittle. Now this recipe is one of my favorites. This has been handed down through a couple generations, and I remember my mom got the recipe when we were little kids, lived in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. And family across the street, the father made this peanut brittle, and he was so secretive about the recipe. He didn't give it out to anybody. And it was like the best peanut brittle around. Everybody loved it. Well, his daughter happened to be my babysitter, and my mom got the recipe from her, got it from him through her. So she snuck the recipe from her dad and got it for us. That's the only reason why we got it. But it's a great recipe. In fact, I make this all the time, and I've won first place with it at the Hennepin County Fair for 5 years in a row. Last year I got a second place on it because of the humidity of the weather. It stuck together and it didn't cook out properly. So you got to remember, humidity makes a huge difference in all your baking and cooking. So you always want to make sure you have climate control conditions. So the peanut brittle, that's why it's always made around the holiday season, because the humidity's gone, it's cool outside, and the cooking conditions are just perfect. So for this great recipe, here we go. First of all, we need 2 cups of white sugar. Now this we're going to place right into a heavy-duty Dutch oven that I have here on the stove. Now you don't want a flimsy, thin, like those aluminum pots, whatever. You want a heavy kettle, because you don't want to burn your syrup, which is really easy to do. Well, we start out with 2 cups of white sugar, and to that we're going to add 1/2 cup of water. Next, we take and add 1 cup of white Karo syrup. Now, one easy way is to remember when doing your syrups, take and just spray the inside of your container with a little vegetable spray. That keeps the syrup from sticking to the sides of the container, and it's so much easier to pour out. So we have a measuring cup. We need 1 cup of syrup. You want the white corn syrup, not the dark. And we need 1 cup. Not quite enough in that container, but we can still use it later on. Just turn it upside down. Make sure your lid's on there. And then we'll add a little bit more. So we have 1 cup. Go. And this goes right into the mixture. And this you can turn on to high. And we'll just mix this together. Now you want to take and bring this to a boil and use a candy thermometer. I have one right here on the inside of the pot. You want to bring this to a boil until the temperature reaches 300 degrees. This is very important in making candy. That's your hard crack stage. You can do the water testing with the bubble, with the drop of the syrup in your cold water, but that's always guesstimation. The best part is just to get a candy thermometer. They're not that expensive. And just bring this to a boil until we get to 300 degrees. Okay, now we got 300 degrees on the temperature of the syrup. Next we're going to be adding our raw peanuts. And this recipe calls for 2 cups of raw peanuts. And what I do is I just buy the bags at the Asian grocery stores. They're so much cheaper. Pour those in. And now we stir this. And you got to remember to stir it very well, continuously stirring. And you want the syrup to be the color of the peanuts. The peanuts are going to drop the temperature, so when you get the color, the syrup gets the color of the peanuts, it's approximately back up to the 300-degree mark, because you want to make sure you have a hard crack stage on the thermometer when making your candy. So you just keep stirring this until the syrup is the pale brown color of the skin shells. You can see right now the temperature had dropped to 180 and it has to rise back up to that 300-degree mark. Because the syrup is still clear yet, it's not the color of the peanuts. Remember to constantly stir so you don't burn or stick to the bottom of the pan. Then we add 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter until that's melted. And make sure now that this is the color of the peanut shell skins. Still a little pale white yet, a little pale clear. Okay, that's getting ready. That's just about done there. So now we need to add 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter. Mix that in until it starts melting. And you can turn your heat off now that we got it to where we want it. And to that we need to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Make sure you use pure vanilla again, that enhances the flavor of the peanut brittle. And this, we gotta work quickly, because when it starts to foam, you gotta look out, it's like lava. So you always want to have your pan here ready. I've got a 10 by 15 inch, 13 by 9 inch baking sheet here. That's buttered. And then we put in 2 teaspoons of baking soda. Now when you add this, you want to mix it up immediately. And grab a pot roller, because it's hot. And this is all foaming up now, a chemical reaction. Nice and fluffy and frothy. And that's all incorporated, which is very, very quickly. Transfer this to your baking sheet. Now be careful you don't have kids or your dog in the way, because you're going to be burning the hell out of them. This stuff is very, very hot. You want to scrape that out immediately. And as you can see, it's overflowing the pan. It's very, very hot, so don't touch it with your fingers. Now this is all frothy, but for peanut brittle, you want the hard peanut brittle. You spread this out, which will break down all those bubbles. If you leave it frothy, then you get the airy kind of peanut brittle. It's kind of like angel food candy. So for angel food candy, you don't want to spread it out, you want to keep it frothy. But for peanut brittle, spread it out to break down that composition. I'm going to spread it evenly. And then let this cool completely before breaking into small pieces. And that's another nice thing about cooking this in the wintertime. Then if you want to cool it quickly, stick it outside on the deck and it'll be ready shortly. And this is the finished product of the peanut brittle. When you break this into pieces off the pan, you're going to get a lot of extra crumbs in the pan. Save those and put those in a little dish for later. You can use them as a topping on your vanilla ice cream. It makes a great butter brittle.